There comes a moment in your life when you get tired. Tired of overthinking. Tired of trying to please everyone. Tired of caring more than anyone else ever does. And then something shifts. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But quietly, deeply. You stop caring. And strangely, that's when everything begins to change. The trap of caring too much. You don't realize it at first. Caring feels like a good thing. It makes you kind, considerate, easy to be around. You listen more. You adjust more. You give more. And in the beginning, people appreciate that. But slowly, something changes. Without noticing it, you start caring a little too much. Not just about people, but about what they think of you. You begin to replay conversations in your head. Did I say something wrong? Did they misunderstand me? Do they still like me? You start analyzing every reaction, every tone, every silence. And just like that, your peace is gone. You see, the trap isn't caring itself. The trap is attaching your worth to how others respond to you. Because when you do that, you hand over control of your emotions. Now your mood depends on their behavior. Your confidence depends on their approval. Your happiness depends on their attention. And that's a dangerous place to be. You begin to shape yourself, not based on who you are, but based on what will be accepted. You hold back your opinions. You soften your personality. You become more agreeable, even when it hurts. Not because you're weak, but because you're afraid of losing connection. Afraid of being judged, rejected, left behind. So you try harder. You give more than you receive. You stay longer than you should. You tolerate things that slowly break you. All just to avoid losing people. But here's the painful truth. The more you abandon yourself to keep others, the more you lose both. Because people don't respect what's always available. And they can't truly connect with someone who isn't being real. So while you're busy trying to be enough for everyone, you become less of yourself. And deep down, you feel it. That quiet frustration. That emotional exhaustion. That sense that something isn't right. You start feeling drained, even around people. Not because they're bad, but because you're not being honest with yourself. You're constantly performing, constantly adjusting, constantly trying to maintain an image. And that pressure builds up. Until one day, you don't recognize yourself anymore. That's the trap of caring too much. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It happens slowly, silently. You lose your boundaries. You lose your voice. You lose your sense of self, all while thinking you're doing the right thing. But caring should never cost you your identity. It should never make you feel small, or anxious, or dependent. Because real strength isn't in caring about everything. It's in knowing what deserves your energy, and what doesn't. And the moment you realize that, is the moment you begin to escape the trap. The breaking point. At first, you try to ignore it. That feeling in your chest. That quiet exhaustion that doesn't go away. You tell yourself, it's fine, this is just how life is. So you keep going. You keep giving. You keep showing up. You keep caring, even when it hurts. But something inside you is slowly wearing down. It's not one big moment that breaks you. It's 1,000 small ones. The messages that go unanswered. The effort that isn't returned. The times you were there for others, but no one showed up for you. Little by little, it builds. Until one day, you feel it. That heavy realization. You've been pouring into people who were never pouring into you. And that's when the questions begin. Why am I the only one trying? Why do I care so much when they don't? Why do I feel so alone, even when I'm surrounded by people? These questions don't just sit in your mind. They echo, louder each time. You start noticing things you used to ignore. The one-sided conversations. The forced connections. The way you shrink yourself just to keep the peace. And suddenly, you can't unsee it. There's a moment. A very quiet moment. Where something inside you shifts. Not anger. Not sadness. Just clarity. Cold, undeniable clarity. You realize that no matter how much you give, you can't make people value you. No matter how much you care, you can't force someone to care back. And no matter how hard you try, you can't build real connection by abandoning yourself. That realization hurts, because it forces you to face something you've been avoiding. You've been overextending yourself for people who were comfortable giving you less. And then comes the breaking point. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. It's the moment you stop trying to fix everything. The moment you stop chasing explanations. The moment you stop asking for the bare minimum. You don't argue anymore. You don't over-explain. You don't beg to be understood. You just stop. And to others, it might look like you've changed. Like you've become distant, colder, different. But what they don't see is this. You're not becoming someone new. You're finally returning to yourself. Because the breaking point isn't where you fall apart. It's where you wake up. It's where you realize your energy is limited. Your time is valuable. Your peace matters. And not everyone deserves access to it. It's painful, yes. But it's also powerful. Because once you reach that point, there's no going back to who you used to be. The version of you that tolerated everything, that overgave, that overcared, starts to fade away. And in its place, something stronger begins to form. Boundaries, self-respect, awareness. The breaking point doesn't destroy you. It rebuilds you. The shift, letting go of approval. After the breaking point, something changes. Not on the outside. Your life may look the same. The same people, the same routines. But inside, there's a shift. You start seeing things differently. The same opinions that once controlled you now feel distant. The same need to explain yourself begins to fade. And for the first time in a long time, you pause before reacting. You pause before adjusting. You pause before caring. Because you've realized something most people never do. Approval is a moving target. No matter what you do, someone will misunderstand you. Someone will judge you. Someone will still find a reason not to accept you. So you ask yourself, what am I really chasing? For so long, you thought approval meant safety. If people liked you, you were safe. If they accepted you, you were enough. But now you see the truth. Approval isn't safety. It's a dependency. A silent agreement where you trade your authenticity for temporary validation. And that's when you begin to let go. Not all at once. But slowly, intentionally. You stop over-explaining your choices. You stop trying to make everyone understand your perspective. You stop shrinking yourself, just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Almost wrong. There's a voice in your head that whispers, what if they don't like you anymore? What if they leave? What if you end up alone? But this time, you don't obey that voice. Because you've already seen where that path leads. You've already lived the life where you were liked by many, but disconnected from yourself. And you know now, that kind of approval isn't worth it. So you begin to choose differently. You choose honesty over likability. You choose peace over attention. You choose self-respect over acceptance. And something powerful happens. The more you let go of needing approval, the more grounded you become. You start to trust yourself. Your decisions feel clearer. Your voice feels stronger. Your presence feels real. You no longer feel the urge to chase people. Because you understand this. The right people don't require you to prove your worth. They don't need constant explanation. They don't make you feel like you have to earn your place. And the wrong people? They begin to fade. Not because you pushed them away, but because you stopped holding on. This is the shift. It's quiet, but life-changing. You're no longer controlled by how others see you. You're no longer reacting to every opinion thrown your way. You're no longer living for an audience. You're finally living for yourself. And in that space, something new begins to grow. Confidence that isn't dependent on praise. Peace that isn't fragile. Freedom that can't be taken away. Letting go of approval doesn't make you cold. It makes you whole. Because the moment you stop asking, do they accept me? You finally start asking, do I accept myself? And that question changes everything. What happens when you stop caring? At first, it feels strange. Almost unfamiliar. You're used to reacting. Used to overthinking. Used to caring about every little thing. But now, you don't. And that silence in your mind? It's not emptiness. It's peace. When you stop caring about things that don't truly matter, you create space. Space to think clearly. Space to breathe. Space to finally hear your own voice again. You're no longer constantly asking, what will they think? Will this be accepted? Am I doing the right thing for them? Instead, the The question becomes, what feels right for me? And that shift changes everything. You begin to move differently. You speak without over-explaining. You make decisions without second-guessing. You walk away without needing closure from people who never gave you clarity. You stop chasing. And that's when things start coming to you. Opportunities. The right people. A sense of direction you didn't have before. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. When you stop caring too much. You stop forcing things. You stop trying to control outcomes. You stop holding on to what clearly isn't meant for you. And life begins to flow naturally. You also become harder to manipulate. Because your emotions are no longer easy to control. You don't react to every comment. You don't seek validation from every interaction. You don't feel the need to prove yourself. That's power. Quiet, unshakable power. And people notice it. They may not understand it, but they feel it. Your presence becomes different. More grounded. More confident. More real. Ironically, the less you try to impress people, the more respect you gain. Because you're no longer asking for attention. You're no longer chasing approval. You're simply being. And in that state, you attract what aligns with you. Not what you begged for. Not what you forced. But what naturally fits who you are becoming. You also learn to let go faster. You don't hold on to people who show you inconsistency. You don't stay in situations that drain you. You don't ignore red flags just to avoid being alone. Because you've realized something important. Protecting your peace is more valuable than keeping temporary connections. And maybe the biggest change of all is how you see yourself. You stop measuring your worth based on how others treat you. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop doubting your value. Instead, you become enough for yourself. And that's where real freedom begins. Not when everything in your life is perfect, but when your inner state is no longer controlled by the outside world. So yes, when you stop caring, everything changes. Not because you gave up, but because you finally let go of what was holding you back all along. Detachment versus indifference. At a glance, detachment and indifference can look the same. Both seem calm. Both seem distant. Both seem like not caring. But in reality, they are completely different. Indifference is empty. Detachment is aware. Indifference says, I don't care about anything. Detachment says, I care, but not at the cost of myself. When someone is indifferent, they disconnect from everything. They avoid emotions. They shut people out. They build walls so high, nothing gets in. Not love. Not connection. Not even growth. It might look like strength, but it's actually avoidance. A way of protecting themselves by feeling nothing at all. But detachment? Detachment is different. It's not about shutting down. It's about staying in control. You still feel. You still care. You still love deeply. But you don't lose yourself in the process. Detachment means you can walk away without needing to destroy the other person. You can accept reality without trying to force it to change. You can care about someone and still choose yourself. That's not weakness. That's discipline. Because the truth is, anyone can become indifferent after being hurt. Anyone can stop feeling when they're tired of being disappointed. But detachment? That takes strength. It requires awareness. The awareness to recognize what is in your control and what isn't. The awareness to understand that not everything deserves your emotional energy. With detachment, you don't react to everything. You observe. You don't chase every connection. You choose. You stop saying, I need this to work, and start saying, if it works, it works. If not, I'll be fine. That mindset changes everything. Because now, your peace is no longer fragile. It's stable. Indifference closes your heart. Detachment protects it. Indifference pushes people away. Detachment allows the right people to stay, and the wrong ones to leave. Indifference is about not feeling. Detachment is about not losing control of what you feel. And once you understand this difference, you stop confusing strength with coldness. You realize that you don't need to become emotionless to protect yourself. You just need to become selective. Selective with your energy. Selective with your attention. Selective with who gets access to you. Because not everything deserves your reaction. Not everything deserves your care. And not everyone deserves your emotional investment. Detachment teaches you that. It teaches you how to stay calm in situations that once overwhelmed you, how to let go without resentment, how to move forward without carrying emotional weight from the past. And in the end, that's what true strength looks like. Not someone who feels nothing, but someone who feels deeply and still remains in control. Maybe you've been caring too much. Maybe you've been trying too hard, holding on too tightly, giving more than you ever received. And maybe you're tired of overthinking, tired of chasing, tired of feeling like you're the only one who cares. But what if that's not your weakness? What if that's your signal? A signal that it's time to change. Because the truth is, your life doesn't start improving when people finally understand you. It starts improving when you stop needing them to. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to hold on to people who don't see your value. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply let go. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the fear of being judged. Let go of the pressure to be everything for everyone. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You find peace. Not the kind that depends on others, but the kind that comes from within. You find clarity. You start seeing people for who they are, not who you hoped they would be. And most importantly, you find yourself, the version of you that isn't trying to impress anyone, the version of you that doesn't need constant validation, the version of you that is calm, grounded, and real. Because in the end, this was never about not caring at all. It was about caring about the right things. Your energy, your peace, your time, your life. So if you're at that point right now, where you feel like pulling back, like caring less, like finally choosing yourself, don't be afraid of that. That's not you losing yourself. That's you finally becoming who you were meant to be. Stop caring about everything and start caring about what truly matters. That's when everything falls into place. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, make sure to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel for more insights that can change the way you think and live. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video that can help you grow.